Hello, everyone. Welcome to your Royal Mystic crystal clearing little tutorial here. Last night we did a live cast on putting these crystals in their salt bath. I also want to let you know you can use any dish. This is a candy dish. It is not optimal because it has 3 pegs and can be tipped. And as I said earlier, if you have any promiscuous pets, my cat likes to get into every single thing, and Jack thinks that all rocks are candy that he must take off and try to dissolve or chew on. So you want to always be mindful of where you're putting your crystals for clearing. And the reasons for clearing are because they go in transit, and sometimes you don't know where they're being kept and what that situation is or who actually mined them. You know, it doesn't mean that it's like, murder on the high seas. I just mean somebody's energy may be thrown off, and you don't want their negativity to be in your crystal and you trying to hold it for meditation or healing. So you want it to be at its highest vibration, and that's why it's important. So as you can see, I have some jewelry in here. I have a bracelet. I have one of my agate slices and some crystal points. I also have my lapis lazuli. This is my beautiful blue boy. He is my crystal skull that my beautiful friend gave me out of one of her skull knowledge classes. They're not as scary as you think, and that's the thing is I want people to understand. Crystals, it's not about worshiping them. It's about what you can gain from them. They carry the knowledge of the entire Earth's core with them through time and memoriam, and it every day they change their mind about how old the earth actually is. So there's a lot of wisdom to be gleaned from Mother Gaia, and this is the way to do it. I have found my most beneficial and strongest psychic connection through having the crystals near me. Now, before I knew what I was, before I knew what my gifts were, I did not know why I was so attracted to stones and crystals, and I was like a magnet. And I think most people are, especially as children. These are minerals, just like if you were to intake minerals and vitamins in your body, this is what you do. You hold this and you allow yourself to be in a place of absolutely fully opening to the energy and the benefit of the crystal. Crystals heal. Crystals do all kinds of things that are important. So this is the reason I'm doing the education on this. Also, you guys know I have my store, and since I'm going to be distributing them, I want people to understand what the benefits are and why crystals are for you in a positive way. It's not about worshiping them as gods. Just because my crystal is shaped like a skull doesn't mean I worship skulls. Those are naive concepts of what crystals are actually for. For example, the reason you see my crystal display over here is because I was finding it hard to sit down and focus and stay focused. It seemed like every little thought was, that I could have to distract me was popping in. So this is the moment where we have that energy to kind of create a grid. Now, grids are a whole new concept to a lot of people. Sorry, guys, I had to have a sip of tea. We have to understand that the grids are part of the greater geometry of life. So this one is the Metatron's cube, which is all the blueprint of the Akashic record and the entire blueprint of life's existence. So this is the moment where we start to understand that crystals are bigger than we think. Now, also crystals, every single one of them, their molecular breakdown, molecular, the malalala, their molecular breakdown is crystal shaped. They have these little, some are dodecahedrons, some are icosahedrons, some, just on and on. There's little crystal things. And the more that they study these things in physics, they start to understand they all have vibration and presence. through that vibration. So there's a harmony of every single thing in this universe, and crystals are just one of them. But guess what? So are we. And when your body is in harmony with the earth, that's a huge, if you were to think of the earth as a transmitter or a speaker, if you're in line with the earth, then you're in line with all existence, because that is what's living and breathing and bringing us life. So, not to get too far off the topic, but this is really all interrelated. Just remember that what you are attracted to, you'll find crystals that you really feel drawn to have or possess. When you have that, it's just like, when you're drawn or attracted to something on your life's path. It's vibrating at a level that you need. You should have it in your life because you need that frequency. So, when you start to learn more about the crystals and what their actual attributes are, what they bring into the picture, you can understand why having certain crystals are more beneficial to the things you want in your life and what you can bring in. So, when you have any kind of clearing happening, you're bringing it back to its best vibration, its healed and 100% highest vibration and charge. So clearing with just regular water, you don't have, it doesn't have to be Avion, or you don't have to buy it. You can put tap water, because you're going to use the Morton salt, which is just absolutely fine for clearing. You don't have to get any fancy salt, but if you have it and you want to use it, you can use Himalayan salt, which is the big crystal salts, and you can grind the salt, or you can have sea salt. Some people only use sea salt for their everything. Like, some people will only use it on their food. It is a natural form of salt, but salt is all basically broken down. Remember, we were talking earlier about molecular existence. Salt is salt. So when you have that kind of energy uh, for the salt, and you bring it in to neutralize anything that's on these stones. Now, these have been soaking all night, so they're good. But for demonstration purposes, I have my handy dandy little sunflower. I just love these. These were given to me a couple of birthdays ago. I don't even know how many. Time is, look, have you all noticed that time is like really odd in this whole pandemic time? Uh, Seriously, we're losing days, and feeling like we don't know what day of the week it is, or even what month. It happens. So this is the moment where you just put in a little bit. I would not use normally this much for this small of a container. It is not necessary, but I would not use more than this for sure. So I'm going to use it over here because there's more water, and I'm going to sprinkle some here. I already have salted these, but it's not going to hurt them. That's the other thing. You can't hurt them unless they're not the kind of crystals you put in water. So research your crystals. This you would just crank a couple of times and give it the salt. Even if the salt, like this one's not fully submerged, but the salt is on top, that's fine. You don't have to, it's you have to soak it fully. If you can't fill it to the top, that's fine. But you should always try to at least cover the highest stone. So I'm going to bring some more water over here and put this one. And the reason I'm using a plastic container is because if you are worried that it might get knocked around, plastic does not conduct any energy and will not put any negativity into the stone either. And then we also have this is a glass Pyrex that I use. I have a set of these, and so I like this one because I can set it on a windowsill. It's narrow. So whenever I'm ready to put it in my moonlight energy, that also helps. If you are planning on using the full moon today, this is a great one because has multi energy. So it's a hunter's moon, which is the original farmer's almanac, kind of, back in the way back. They used this to gather game because they could see them easier. The targets were easier to see, or to gather whenever people would harvest. There is a harvest moon. I think it's already passed, but this is the energy of the hunter's moon. Now, it may be next month that the harvest moon is, but we also have the blue moon. This is a blue moon, and the blue moon means it's twice a month. Every once in a blue moon, the moon enters a cycle where in the same month you'll have two full moons. Um, February will never be that month because it's not long enough. So it's usually the months with 31 days in them because it has the amount of time it takes to get completely to the full moon. Now, there are things you can do to amplify the energy while they're charging. If you want to put them out on the patio furniture, that's all great and good. And you can use crystal grids to amplify the energy. So this one is a really good one. It is just a neoprene, beautiful crystal grid on this, and you can set this underneath while you're charging your crystals. Now, some of you may not want to, you don't have to be cleansing them and charging at the same time. I'm kind of a, maybe it's just that I like to do two things at once. I'm a multitasker. But if you have your dry crystals, you can make your grid and set it out there for the moon to charge them, or the sun. Either if you want to do daytime or nighttime, it's not a big deal. So I could put these crystals, see how they have the little circles? I can put all my little crystals, and then I can put some points. These crystal points are perfect for setting your crystals in a pattern. So you have all the ability to bring in your crystals in any way that makes you happy. I have some obsidian, howlite, and of course we have the big centerpiece that I'm going to put a wonderful quartz crystal right in the middle there. So there you have a crystal grid that you can sit out and have all your moonlight just charging that up, and you've got the amplification of the crystal grid. And I have the flower of life, and this one I forgot what it's called, a Shri something. I forget what the name of it is, but you guys are so smart. I know somebody out there knows what this is. So this is the other energy. You can just put it under the dish, and it's a very strong energy. Oh, I know. So let me explain to you what this is. I know I don't remember what it's called, but this is the vibration of the sound of the creation of the universe, which is Om. So if you amplified in cybernetics or cybernetics, I can't remember if it's, I think it's cybernetics. So this is where they use sound to create forms and geometric patterns, because everything is about vibration. And this one, if you make the sound Om and you amplify it through a big bass speaker, and you have water with a little bit of sand in the bottom, it'll make this pattern for that sound. So very much a creative source energy, and very important if you want to charge your crystals up. So even if, like I said, you don't have to put the ones that I have in the clearing water. These were just for example, so you can see how to clear your crystals. Anytime they've come through anyone's hands other than your own, you want to do this. It's important, and just for your own. As soon as I get mine, I pull the plastic off, and I put them immediately. I have a dish sitting on the counter ready for this particular transaction when I know that I've ordered something and something's coming in. And if I have the bulk one, I use the size of a shoebox or a bigger Pyrex. So you could have this beautiful energy and a beautiful geode. I'm going to pull this one out. You can hear my stones falling all over the place. So I have this great big amethyst geode. And this kind of stone is really good to put out in the moonlight or the sunlight, because it can just sit there. And if I set it on top of that and put it out there and let the moon and the sun get on this with this right here with it, goodness gracious, you've got to know it's going to be just super hypercharged. So now remember, I caution all the time, because selenite is one of my favorite stones. And I just kind of call this petrified light. Okay. So if you were to put it in water, it would dissolve right before your very eyes and you would be very sad. Do not ever get this wet. You will be sorry. So the energy of this though, it cannot be charged negatively, but it does sometimes need clearing. Okay. So, because we're using it to clear other stones, like you see up here at the top of my table here, I've got stones sitting on top of the selenite, and that's what's called charging your stone on a selenite plate. Okay. So, when you buy sometimes you'll see a big fat square plate or a bowl made of selenite. That's why, because it's for the recharge of your crystals in the absence of being able to put it in the moon, or because, like, for me, I use my stones every day, and so I'm always working with them. And so I keep a lot of selenite. As you see, it's down the sides, on the sidebar here, across the top. I even have it under my table, and I have some giant selenite pyramid lamps. So if I need to recharge any of those things, they will sit on this, something like this, with the beautiful sun or moonlight, and that'll clear them, and they don't have to be wet. Now, I prefer to do it in the daylight because moisture at night can get on these. So don't forget that if you got humidity where you are. It might actually sprinkle or snow or something. So during the day, I like to pull the sunlight for these mostly. And I have them, you can make crystal grids in your house. You can put them over the doorways. You can, it will make a crystal light shield for your entire house because these are that powerful. So I have them in every windowsill, over every doorway, and just right on that door sill. Now, they make them in smaller pieces. You can get smaller pieces. I have those on in my store. I'm looking for my little bitty piece, but I don't see it right here. So if you have a little piece, you can split it, because this, if I were to hit the top of this, like if I held it down and I smacked it with a hammer, it would shatter straight down. It comes off in pieces and strips. So on the shorter pieces, it's easier to just knock it down and break off pieces, and then you can lay the strips of it over the door frame, the door sills. And I have big towers in my windowsills. Or, well, they're about that big. They're not huge, but they're big enough to sit on the windowsill. Just don't forget when you go to open the window, because they do hurt when they hit the top of your foot. I also have selenite orbs. Okay, you can get them carved in little shapes. I have selenite hearts and different other things. So you can use selenite. You can use it in any form. Just don't get it wet. That is the number one key thing. And remember, sometimes we have stones. This is azurite, and azurite by itself is fine. You can see the beautiful sparkly quality of it, shimmering. See if I can get it up there to the camera so you can see that. Yeah, it's very crystalline. But what it is what they used back in, probably still do, for dye. This is oxidized copper that was inside of and it's not like copper, refined copper. This is pure copper ore, and it was inside a geode, and it developed with this beautiful blue instead of the green that we normally see, right? So that's oxidized through a different method. This one happened inside of a geode, inside of another thing, so sealed from the surroundings. If you take it out of this and I were to set it on my table, it would start to break down. And believe you me, what they use this for is the dye of blue, and you will never get it out of anything that it touches. So I keep mine in this, and I keep it out of the ultraviolet light because that will degrade it. So when you receive a stone that's in a package like this, find out more about why it's in this package, because you shouldn't just discard the package. It has a package for a reason. Some reasons, like for stibnite, it's because it's mercurial, and you don't want that on your skin. It's not safe for you to hold. So you just got to find out what's going on. So also, let's talk about some of these. This is moldavite, and it's from Moldova. It is from a meteorite hitting the earth, and that's why they call it. It is meteorite glass, but it has special conductive powers that would benefit very much from the moonlight, So this is one recommendation to put out there on your grid. I have more than one of these. I have them all over. So I have them setting on my selenite lamps because the selenite charges them, right? So you can have them on your little crystal grid. I also have some crystal Merkabas. You guys have seen me use these in my conversations when we do our learning and our geometric sacred geometry courses, and as we talk about them when we go through some of the workshops and different things. So I have all these lovely, and I have some Herkimer. I highly recommend Herkimer. Very strong dream amplification and helping you connect to your higher spirit energy. If you want to, anybody who wants to do astral travel, this is your stone. So I'm here to tell you it's the big mama jamma. So you see there's no real, I'm not using any kind of special pattern. I'm just putting them where I feel they will work and be beneficial. So that's how you lay your crystal grid. You just put your crystals how you feel. Some people, you can look them up. There's crystal grids online. You can figure out how to do them. And if you want to subscribe to a specific method, there are direct intended purposes for using grids. I have not gotten into that fully, but I'm not saying I'm not. So this one is another meteor. This is an actual meteorite, and it looks like space poo, but it is my very strong energy of a tektite. That's what it's called when it's a stone that you have that was a meteorite or part of a meteor entering the Earth's atmosphere. A lot of times they're magnetic because they're very strong metal content, and they've gone through all the energy of the earth as it comes in. So the reason you see my stones sitting on these selenite stones is because they've been charged and they are being for my meditation purposes and different things. So you can always, if there's no moon or you can't, if you just don't want to get out there and do all the, sometimes we forget, oh God, it's a full moon tonight, and we don't have time to throw it all together. So having these selenite in your life will change the ability for you to charge your stones without needing the sun or the moon. But it's always great to do it because, it is part, just like Mother Gaia energy, it is part of all of our inner makeup and the pull of what we know as this realm of the earth. So the galaxy is still moving around, but we're closest to these sources, and they are resources of energy and light. So I hope this was helpful to everyone. I feel like you should all have a wonderful experience with this beautiful moon energy. If I just want to say, if you want to draw a grid on a piece of paper, that is acceptable. If you don't own one of these grids, you can find a geometric pattern that you like and trace it onto paper and put it out there and allow yourself to amplify. And these don't have to be outside to work. I could leave this on my table like this and it would attract the energy to it. So it's just amplified if you put it in the moon or the sunlight. So, and it does work. Just another bonus question. It does work if you are letting the light come in through a window. It is still moonlight. So just because it's not outside in the night air doesn't mean it's not being charged. So that's acceptable 100% if you have a table that's right there or a nice fat windowsill that you can put them on. And you don't need any of this. If you want to put your crystals in the windowsill, do it. It's fine. There's no real wrong way to do it as long as you're doing it where they're being, the light is actually hitting them. So it's very simple, just as though this were a windowsill, line it up. I'm just showing you ways to amplify the effect and charge them to a very high vibration so that they are good for healing. Understand that there's a lot of crystals that are directly for healing. One of them is the agate, that agate slice that you see here. It connects to the body and is very strong in its healing energy. Also, remember you have amethyst, you have black tourmaline, anything that pulls shadow energy off. The one of the things that kills anxiety and fear is hematite. That kills all negative. This is believed to be what the center of the core of the earth is made of. That this is the stone that is like massive amounts of it are inside the center of the core of the earth. And people use lava all the time because it is that, been fired through a volcano. So that's been purified through that heat and fire. Uh, Smoky quartz is a good healing stone. Of course, the obsidian, black obsidian. These are all, everything has its own properties. And so I highly, highly, highly recommend researching what you feel drawn to because you'll usually find out it's something you need right away. So there's all kinds of different things we're going to be discussing. I've decided to do a once a month mystic crystal, sort of I think I'm going to do a first Friday, maybe a first Friday or second Sunday. I haven't decided which yet. And we'll start doing specific education on specific stones because I am selling these things and I want you to be able to have what you need for your benefit in your life. And it's just amazing once you understand the multitask purposes that this beneficial of the vibration of that stone has in your life and how it will affect you. It's super important, especially if you're into holistic healing, or you're having an issue where the treatment of something is worse than the actual disease. When you're having real bad side effects from something, these crystals can help kind of mute that extra energy that's causing you to suffer more. So having that knowledge is so important and why these crystals matter. And thank you all for being present and watching this. I love you guys, and I hope this was educational and enjoyable for all of you. Have a beautiful Halloween. Be safe, and happy crystal charging. Namaste, my friends. I forget where the X is every time, guys.